ready, Novas Nation. The countdown is on. The Supernovas return to the court this January with team captain Brooke Nuneviller and returning Huskers Merritt Beeson and GM John Cook. This season promises to be bigger, louder, and more electrifying than ever with world-class professional volleyball lighting up Omaha. Season tickets keep you at the center of every moment with the best fans in pro volleyball. Secure your seats today at supernovas.com.
Hello and welcome to Volleyball State, a look at the sport of volleyball in 6 rotations presented by Alumni Hall and a proud part of the I-80 Club. I'm Jeff Sheldon.
I'm Lincoln Arneal.
Hey, Nebraska moves to 24-0 this past weekend with its best offensive week of the season. A number of other top-ranked teams to survive some tough conference challenges as conference play is winding down. And we're going to start nitpicking the postseason awards early this year. Outrage has come to the volleyball community early this year. Lincoln, how are you doing, man?
Oh, we're great. I am still in Minnesota. I don't have my wood-paneled walls behind me, but I'm in a hotel room still in Minneapolis. Went to a Vikings game today. Fun experience, not unless you're a huge Vikings fan. But, hey, we're still enjoying the life up in the north.
Absolutely. I mean, plenty of our guests have joined us from hotel rooms and trying to make sure that like the hotel Wi-Fi works. So like now you get to see how the other half lives.
Yeah, hopefully it works. So I get my nice soft glow light from my desk lamp in my hotel room. So it's a good time. But hey, I got to watch Nebraska play Minnesota in person. So it was a good time. Yeah, we got a great show lined up for you this week. Here's a breakdown of the rotations. We're going to start off rotation 1 talking about that matchup against the Gophers on Saturday. Then we will rewind time and go back to Thursday night for rotation 2 and break down Nebraska's match against Illinois. Then we're going to go to rotation 3, talk about the Big Ten. Rotation 4 is our national recap. Rotation 5, we're going to break out all of the hot takes there and talk about the list of the 14 players who were announced this week as the semifinalists for the National Player of the Year by AVCA. And then rotation 6, as always, we will look forward to the California Dreamin' portion of Nebraska's schedule as they go out to UCLA and USC next week.
Are you going out there for that, by the way? I don't know if I knew
thought about it. I was looking at price, but I am not. That'd be a fun trip, especially because I think it's the USC women basketball plays UConn on Saturday night between the 2 volleyball matches. That would have been a fun trip, but I'm going to stay in the Midwest for another weekend.
Well, you're one of the few, I would say, Nebraskans, I guess, who are not going out for that. I mean, between the Nebraska-UCLA football game that was on Saturday where Nebraska filled up half the Rose Bowl, and then where it sounds like USC and UCLA are both sellouts, or at least pretty darn close to sellouts.
They'll be record attendance for sure.
Thanks to the Nebraska fans. Like you and I will be the only ones who will be watching it from chilly Lincoln, Nebraska. But hey, we want to say thank you so much to our friends at Alumni Hall for sponsoring tonight's show and all of our shows this past fall. They even sponsored our volleyball late that we did on Friday night after Nebraska played Illinois. Alumni Hall is the ultimate Husker shopping destination. And with the holidays coming up, you know you are going to need some great gift ideas for the fans in your life. They've got all sorts of collegiate apparel, including Nebraska's. And if you are in the Lincoln, Nebraska area, they do have 2 locations that you can shop in right in the store, downtown in Lincoln at 11th and P, and also at South Point Pavilions. They have more volleyball merchandise than any competing retailer. And they've got some great stuff now that all of the leaves are off the trees and the temperature has dropped down into the 30s like it did today. They've got the Zuzats Women's Shine Puffer Vest. I've become a vest guy, I think, like more in my old age. Middle age. I have like 5 vests of various puffiness. And so you can get great puffer vests or puffy coats at Alumni Hall if now that the temperature has dropped. Also, it's basketball season. Lincoln, have you been to any Nebraska basketball games?
Yes,
on Saturday.
I haven't been to. I have season tickets for men's and women's, and I haven't been to any women's yet. But I've been to. I've seen 2 of the men's games. So
they've got brand new Nebraska basketball gear at Alumni Hall, so you can stock up there. Plus, like as soon as Halloween's over, right, it moves into Christmas season with your home decor. They've got lots of Christmas decor, Nebraska branded stuff at Alumni Hall. They've got Christmas ornaments, stockings, door hangings, everything that says "Go Big Red" and "Merry Christmas." They have at Alumni Hall, and we're going to save you 15%. You walk in the store and you tell them you want that Volleyball State discount. They're going to give you 15% off your order. Or if you shop online from anywhere at alumnihall.com, you can use the promo code VolleyballState all together with no spaces, and that's going to save you 15%. So thanks so much to Alumni Hall for riding along with us this year on Volleyball State.
You did it.
It's going to be Christmas. Christmas is like a month and a half away.
I'm a holiday purist. I celebrate day by day. So I'm focused on Thanksgiving right now. Hopefully they have some good Husker themed cornucopias that we can use to celebrate.
Like little corn cob holders that you can put.
Yes.
You spin it through the beer.
Yes. So, yeah. Let's move to rotation 1.
You were on location up there. We should have done something. Yes. I don't know, man. I'm getting a cold. Everyone in my house is sick right now, and so like my nose and my voice might not have permitted me to do 3 podcasts this week. But you were up there for Nebraska, Minnesota.
Yeah. I think me and JB and the Peacock people were the only media in the building, but it was a good time. It was a good. I mean, Minnesota has a very fun atmosphere for their games. They have an in-house DJ, Izzy P, not confused with Izzy P, the digital media guru for the Husker team. But
there's multiple Izzy P's.
Yeah, this is Izzy IE is the musical DJ. But she did a great job. Okay. The only thing I held against her, she did play the Monster Block soundtrack, which we need to move away from. Let's get more creative. But yeah, that's too cliche. But Nebraska took care of business, 25-15, 25-21, 25-20, which Nate Poland, great research. This was the first ever 3-set sweep again Nebraska's ever had in Minnesota. They've done it when they've been in Lincoln. They played some back in the late 70s. There are some 2-set sweeps, but first ever 3-set sweep for Nebraska in Minneapolis against the Gophers.
Well, there was a run there where every time Nebraska went to Minneapolis to play Minnesota, it went to 5. Yeah. I swear it was 3 or 4 years in a row. And my wife actually used to live in Minneapolis and went to one of those. But it seemed like every time Nebraska would go play in the PAV, it would go 5 sets. Much briefer on Saturday.
Yeah, they took care of business. The Nebraska's set streak is now up to 46. So we're getting close into kind of that watch territory. I know the 2 big streaks are from the it was 07 and then the 95 team. I think they have the longest one, but they're getting close. It's time to start the sweep watch for that as well too. So let's go over some numbers, kind of break down who were the highlights, who were the stars of this match.
Absolutely. Nebraska moves to 24-0 and what is it, 12-0 now in the Big Ten. 14-0, excuse me. That's right. 14-0 in the Big Ten. Still like not exactly running away with stuff, thanks to Purdue continuing to be really good. But I mean, this was an unbelievable match. It was an unbelievable week. This is the theme of the week, is that Nebraska's offense continues to get better and raise its what will almost certainly be a school record hitting percentage now. In fact, Matt Calloway, one of our great regular listeners that chimes in on the I-80 Club Discord, it says, the best offensive week of the season in the midst of a 46 straight set wins here. Does Nebraska keep getting better? And there's a ceiling, right, that you get to where you really can't expect to get that much better. And I would have told you Nebraska had probably reached it last week. And then they go out and they raise their season hitting percentage by 10 points because they hit over 400 against both Illinois and Minnesota. On Saturday against the Gophers, Nebraska hit 434, which blows me away. Like, Minnesota wasn't really having a lot of problems killing the ball either. They hit, 260, not 268, and Nebraska just blew right past them. And they started early with Andi Jackson, who had 3 early kills and finished with 15 kills on 619 hitting.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous at this point. I mean, that 434 is impressive, but that's with a couple of hitting errors late in that third set too. I was doing research kind of middle of that third set, like,
that could have been 500 real easy.
Yeah, I think you need to hit 500 to crack the top 5 or 10 single match performance. I think top 5 single match performances. So, and they were at 500.
If you're not above 500, they're not putting you in the media guide, apparently.
Yeah, Minnesota it was 16-8, and Minnesota had a 5-0 run that had a couple of blocks, blocked Nebraska twice, and that kind of ended the threat of getting into the because they were after 2 sets. Nebraska was hitting I have my fancy stat sheets. They were hitting 514 after 2 sets. So it was ridiculous. I mean, you mentioned Andi Jackson, but it wasn't just her.
No.
Taylor Landfair, former Minnesota Gopher, she spent 4 years up in the Twin Cities playing for them. She finished with 11 kills, 20 attacks, hit 550. That's her highest hitting performance, where she gets at least 10 attacks too. She's had a couple 600s when she gets single-digit attacks, but when she gets a lot of volume, that's her best performance in her 2 years at Nebraska.
Yeah. And as what is sort of becoming a theme is Nebraska is getting very low error, and in fact, some cases, no error performances out of multiple players. So Andi Jackson had, I think, 1 error in the match. Landfair, no errors on her 20 swings. Rebecca Alec, 10 kills, no errors on 14 swings. So those 3 players right there, that's 36 kills with like 1 error between them, which is just insane.
Well, and the thing about too, I mean, those aren't usually the 3 people you expect to get double-digit kills too. No Harper Murray, Andi Jackson you do, but Harper Murray was not in there. And this was actually the 4th time this season Nebraska's had 3 players reach triple-digit or double-digit kills. 2 happened twice in Nebraska's 5-set match, which you hope you get a lot of players and kills in those 5 sets. The other one was Stanford. That match in the first weekend when Ali Czech actually led Nebraska in that match with 12 kills.
Yeah. Well, this had to be a match that Nebraska won with their offense because neither team was really playing a lot of defense in this match. Minnesota only had 10 hitting errors, so that's not a ton in 3 sets. Nebraska, I think, only had 3 blocks in the match. Yeah, that's
they were
right.
Outblocked 5-3 by Minnesota.
Right. And so, all the points Nebraska was scoring was on their offense. And Minnesota, is a really tough serving team, which we saw in this match. And they don't commit a lot of errors. Some of these really high pressure serving teams will serve out like 3 times a set. And Minnesota didn't do that. So Nebraska was able to win this match really comfortably with Virginia Adriano, who had a hot start, kind of coming back down to earth late, 8 kills, 4 errors. She hit 222. And then Harper Murray kind of did a little bit of everything, but did not have a great offensive night, just 7 kills for her. And still, Nebraska cruises and hits, 434.
Yeah. So to me, this was, the evolution of Bergen. We haven't mentioned it yet. Bergen Riley continues to be a maestro of being able to set. And I think this one, you really saw her force the issue of getting the ball to the middle. So even if it wasn't a perfect pass to her too, and there were a lot of not perfect passes because Minnesota served so tough, where she was going quick tempo to the middles and just kind of force feeding them. And I think Nebraska knew it had an advantage in the middle of the net too. Again, Jordan Taylor is a freshman for the Gophers who was kind of pressed into action earlier than expected this season to replace for one of their many injured players too. And then Lourdes Myers too is she's okay, but not a defensive stalwart. So I think Nebraska really exploited with the middles, which you saw with, Andi Jackson, Rebecca Alec really teed off, and they got a lot of attacks.
I want to talk about that middle offense here in a second, but I do want to give credit. Minnesota has some really talented players, and we knew that Julia Hansen was going to be a load coming into the night. I think she had 21 kills in their loss earlier in the week against Wisconsin, 13 kills on 39 swings. Like, she's one of the best in the conference. I've seen it using the block. Like, you can throw her up a bump set out of system and put a double block on her, and she's still going to score. And it's like, can you come to Lincoln and teach some of Nebraska's players to do that? And then Carly Gilk, who's just a freshman, had 10 kills. She's their opposite, I believe. 10 kills on 15 swings, hit 533. So, like, Minnesota hung with Nebraska from an offensive standpoint. They just could not stop Nebraska defensively. And a lot of that, as you mentioned, Lincoln, was through the middles. And you're kind of new to volleyball, and you're wondering, what do they mean by forcing the middle? Nebraska sets their middle blockers in sort of placement situations where I don't see any other teams doing it. A lot of times you want like a lateral relationship between your setter and your middle so that your setter sort of setting the ball laterally to them. Nebraska will almost do it vertically, where Bergen Riley will be in the middle of the court, but back at the 10-foot line because that's where the pass has sent her. And she will still almost set it straight forward, not at a horizontal angle, but just like straight forward to where Andi Jackson or Rebecca Alec is able to take that tough angle and still hit it right down at the ground. And it's really, really impressive to watch, that they're getting kills on those plays that like no one else would even try to do.
Yeah. I think it's an anomaly too. I mean, we'll talk about this later too, but there are not a lot of elite middle blocker attackers, and Nebraska has two of them, and they use kind of them differently too. I mean, Andi Jackson is very effective on the slide too, but Rebecca Alec, most of her kills come from in front of the setter, where Bergen Riley is either pushing it to her or pushing it forward at the net from the 10-foot line too. So this is kind of the evolution of what Nebraska is on offense. So I think I agree. This is what you see from Nebraska as well too. And you mentioned Carly Gilk too. She's been kind of a revelation for Minnesota. She's one of the tougher servers. She had 9 aces in a match earlier this season too. So I thought she did really well against Nebraska's block, and she was the one in that first set where Minnesota had no answer for Nebraska, offensively or defensively, that she kind of got the spark going.
What I saw in this match, Lincoln, is Minnesota about the middle of each set would kind of get their feet under them and start playing really well and make up some ground. But in like football, we would call this a game script, where Nebraska just got out to early leads in every set and made Minnesota chase them. And when you're playing rally scoring volleyball and there's a point scored on every side out, every point, like you can't come back from like 7-8 points down against a team as good as Nebraska. So in game 1, Nebraska led 14-6. In game 2, it was 11-3. In game 3, it was 13-5. And so by the time Minnesota sort of put it together and started stringing together some points, they were down by 8, 8, 8, and they just couldn't do anything. In fact, Minnesota used all 6 of their timeouts in the match, 2 in each of the 3 sets, before anyone reached 15 points. Like Keegan Cook was trying to do what he could to stop the bleeding early on, and like he just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it was Nebraska. It was 15-6 in the second set when Minnesota called their second timeout. But yeah, usually by the media timeout, I mean, Minnesota had used all of their breaks.
They used their first one in the match when they were down 4-0.
4-0. And I mean, I don't know if this translated on the stream, but like Nebraska came out and was just doing whatever they wanted. And the moment looked too big for Wisconsin. They were like, oh, we saw this on tape. We thought we could handle it. But then it was Adriano had a pair of kills and Jackson had a pair of kills. That is like, no, you're not doing any of that tonight too. And that Nebraska that to me set the whole tone for the entire match. And to call a timeout. And I asked Keegan Cook about that after the match too. And he said, look, if we have designs on winning this match too, and he's going to coach like it, that we need to regroup, and kind of they missed some defensive assignments and really allowed Nebraska to tee off on him. So he said that he saw some things that he didn't like, and he wasn't going to wait to discuss it. He wanted to bring it up right then and kind of hopefully right the momentum, but it never really happened.
Minnesota credit them for doing a good job on Harper Murray. Yeah. But then when you have sort of Nebraska, I will call them Nebraska's 4th and 5th options, with Taylor Landfair and Virginia Adriano just putting down every ball they can in game 1. Like what exactly are you supposed to do? What did you see from especially Landfair that made her so effective in this match?
I mean, Landfair was swinging hard. I mean, her favorite shot is the crossbody to the back corner from the left pin. It's the cross court shot. That is where she makes her bread and butter. She hit a lot more, I thought, 4-4. So front left to the other front left as you're looking at it from in front of the 10-foot line. She had a couple of those. And I thought, I mean, you could tell she was comfortable. This is the gym that she spent 4 years in practicing and playing. She just felt comfort. It wasn't really a hostile environment. I mean, I think I heard.
No, that crowd seemed dead on TV. I meant to ask you about that when I watched, and maybe it was because Nebraska just got out to big runs at the start of each set, but that crowd did not influence that match at all.
No, there was energy. I think when Minnesota scored points, they were trying to like push them, will them to get more points too. So it wasn't energetic, but like you said, from point to point, especially early on in the sets too, and when Nebraska was manhandling them, it was a little bit lackluster. I mean, there also were a lot of Nebraska fans there too, as well too. But you mentioned the scoring runs too. I mean, in the second set, was Minnesota went on a 7-1 run, but they still trailed by 4 points. And then in the third set, they had a 5-0 run, and they were down by 3. So they had these big scoring runs, and they're still in a deficit because of how well Nebraska started each set.
I also think, she's still going to develop more. She's still got a little ways to go. Virginia Adriano is starting to look more comfortable, especially when she's being left one-on-one, because she can hit both line now and cross, and she's not just trying to pull cross-court shots into the block anymore. So I think if you're Nebraska, you're really encouraged by how she's doing. She's starting to string together some 300 hitting percentage matches.
Well, and through 2 sets, she was really great. She had 7 kills on 11 attacks with just 1 error through 2. I don't know if it was fatigue or Minnesota finally adjusted their block to her, or Nebraska's just passing broke down a little bit to make
I think
it was more
they started to read her a little bit better in game 3, and that's where she's going to have to start to mix up the shots that she hits and hit at different angles, because they were able to get her a couple times.
Yeah, the sets were a little bit tight. I don't know if she could do a lot with the sets that she got, but overall, not much of a complaint.
Yeah. All right. So, Nebraska takes down. Let's recap Andy's week after we talk about Illinois, if that's all right, and that might give a little more context to this, because really the theme of the week was Nebraska's offense was incredible. They hit a season high 488 against Illinois as we move into rotation 2, and unlike Minnesota, where it was the starters the entire match, Nebraska used 14 different players on Thursday night against Illinois. 10 different players had kills. We talked about this on Volleyball Late, our post-match show that we did after Illinois, which you can hear live and take part in if you become a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/I80club, just $5 a month to become a Volleyball State supporter. Nebraska hits 488. And so in the 2 matches last week against Illinois and Minnesota, Nebraska, which was already the nation's leader in attack percentage at 339, raised their attack percentage by 10 points to 349. These are like video game numbers at this point. For a Nebraska team that, like, if they hit 275 for the year, most of the time that I was covering them, you would consider that a really good season because the defense was so good. And now they're hitting 349.
Yeah, and the thing about this too against Illinois is that like you mentioned, the whole lineup played too. And I think the only person who played in the front row that didn't get a kill, was Campbell Flynn, and she had 1 attack and didn't get it done. Well, she's a setter, so no, not much of a harm there too. But they changed setters, they changed attackers, and to not have any drop off is it's ridiculous. And I mean, I feel like we keep trying to come up with new ways to describe how amazing an offense and impressive this offense is for Nebraska. But to really, as we saw against Illinois, it doesn't matter who's on the court too. There's no drop off. And again, this was a beatdown. I mean, just to get in the final score, we haven't mentioned the Illinois. Illinois scored 11, 15, and 14 in the 3 sets, and they never challenged at all. I mean, Illinois is kind of a mid-pack team. They have hopes of making the postseason, and they just
they've lost 6 in a row, I believe now, by the way, because they lost to Penn State on Sunday. So Illinois, which at one point was 4-0, and I think second in the Big Ten.
They're 7-1 in the Big Ten at one point.
Were they 7-1? Okay, well they have lost 6 matches in a row now. But Andi Jackson, once again, kind of our player of the week. 9 kills on 9 swings. Obviously, that means no errors with 4 blocks. A new career high in hitting percentage for her, 1,000. So, like, on the week, Andi Jackson, 24 kills on 30 swings, hit 733 for the week.
Yeah. And speaking of record books, it is not officially a school record because you need to have 10 attacks to get in the perfect record.
Tracy Stalls has that, and I believe that's a 13 for 13 that she did back in 06, 07, something like that. I remember she did it against Texas Tech. I don't remember what year it was. But Tracy Stalls had 13 kills on 13 swings once upon a time.
Yeah, I'm trying to quickly find where it is for this. Yeah, there's only been 2 perfect matches. Tracy Stalls, 13 for 13, correct, in 2007. Lauren Stivrins went 10 for 10 against Northwestern in 2018. So those are only 2 perfect nights that have at least 10 attacks too. So Andi Jackson will not be joining those officially in the record book, but still 9 kills, 9 attacks, 9 kills is a very impressive performance.
I put this in my 3 side outs after Illinois, but like, do you remember there was a brief moment in September where we're like, man, Andi Jackson's only hitting like 287 this year. Like, what happened to her after being a first team All-American last year? And now she's up, well above 400. She's, of course, going to be a first-team All-American and might very well be National Middle Blocker of the Year since the AVCA is doing positional awards now. She's the only middle blocker on that list of National Player of the Year semifinalists. Her numbers are obscene. And there's other great middle blockers out there, but like they're sort of telegraphing it at this point.
In just Big Ten conference matches, she's hitting 561.
Whoa. She's probably hitting better than Manayo Obeje at this point.
I mean, Obeje, she's hitting closer to 500, but she's
other players against Illinois had great matches too. Adriano, a great match for her, 8 kills, she hit 500. Harper Murray was really solid, 8 kills and hit 316. And then Terea Sigler, they let go through the front row for a good chunk of that match. She had 6 kills and hit 417 and really took some aggressive, like smart swings too. She tooled the block a couple times. So good to see Nebraska's youth sort of stepping up and emerging too.
Yeah, and for all we talked about offense, I think to me this was the Lainey Choboy match that we
absolutely
had, and she really took over. She had 20 digs in just 3 sets. I mean, this is only her first year playing 6 rotations, so she had a couple double-digit dig matches in her first 2 years in Nebraska, but 20 digs, and to me, she had the play of the match too. I think she covered Sigler, had a back row attack that got rejected, sent back to Nebraska's side. And it was a back row. So usually she's in center back to cover this, but Choboy turned and faced and stuck out her fist and popped the ball straight up. Bergen Riley ran behind the 10-foot line. And I think I looked like Clear Lake, Iowa, or wherever it was. And
it was a long ways away.
Firmly, and set it to Harper at the pin to get the kill too. So that to me was the play of the match.
It's very hard for us, I think, to adequately describe this in our memory on the podcast. But what we did timestamp it. We posted a video clip of this play on the Volleyball Pod Twitter account and Blue Sky account. Check it out. It's Nebraska's up 15-10 in game 2 when this rally happens. And what I didn't realize until watching this a couple times, Choboy served on this point, Lincoln.
Yeah.
She started in right back and had to sprint up to left front to cover the pancake tip that she did. And it's everything you love about Lainey Choboy in one rally, just kind of the relentlessness and the athleticism. It's an incredible play. And then also of note, this was only the second match of the year that Nebraska didn't allow an ace. They also didn't against Michigan State, but Danny was able to quickly tell us her interpretation of the passing numbers after that match, and it was one of Nebraska's best of the year.
Yeah, she made it a point after everyone had been harping over the last week about how Nebraska's not passing very well. And then I think, they've really stepped up. I wrote about this in the Volleyball State newsletter, which you can also get if you're a Patreon member. But if someone asked a question about how many of those aces that Nebraska gives up are what we call spectator aces, which means they let the ball go. They think the ball's going to go out, and it doesn't. I went back and watched the YouTubes for every single match and kind of followed that. It's about 35%, which I don't have context to know what historical data that is or how that compares to other teams too, but that seems to me like a lot. Like, I mean, Nebraska is one of the fewest aced teams in the Big Ten and even in the country, but to give up a lot of almost more than a third of your aces, just watching them seems like a lot. But I will say it's gotten better. I think I did a breakdown of non-conference versus conference, and Nebraska has significantly decreased the number of spectator aces. There's still maybe one or two, maybe a match, but was not any against Illinois because they did not get aced at all.
Also, Illinois, not a super challenging serving team to my eye. Minnesota was. Minnesota had some really strong servers. And I realized I hadn't looked up the passing numbers for Minnesota until just now. Honestly, not as bad as I thought. Nebraska passed a 207 as a team with a 50% good pass percentage. Better than Minnesota, who was at a 1.96 and a 47. So Nebraska actually held their own on the serve and pass game a little bit better than Minnesota. And, ultimately, what does it matter? Because they hit 424. Or whatever they did. But really that's what Lainey Choboy.
Yeah, that's what Danny's point was when she kind of pushed back against that narrative that their passing is weak. It's like we're still hitting 340 for the year too. So whatever we're doing is great. But we're nitpicking. We're trying to find areas that Nebraska can improve because people have flashbacks to matches gone wrong in the postseason.
Well, and like what are we focusing on in the season right now? For right or wrong, it's Nebraska's season is ultimately going to be judged by what they do in December. and they could go undefeated. And if they lose in the national title match, people are going to be mad. They're going to be heartbroken, again for the third year in a row. And that is probably not fair, right? We've tried to talk about enjoying the journey. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion at this point. They're going to win the Big Ten championship for the third year in a row, which is, nothing to sniff at. But every Nebraska fan, right, in their heart of hearts is worried about worst case scenario and what happens if you run into a serving Kentucky or Texas again or something like that, and the offense, it doesn't come as easily. Certainly wasn't a worry this week.
No, for sure. So that's kind of our Nebraska portion of the podcast. Let's switch gears. We move on to rotation 3, talk about some other Big Ten. You mentioned Nebraska's running away with the Big Ten. Still got a 2-game lead on Purdue, but I think the rest of the Big Ten is shuffling for postseason. There's still some home postseason matches they'd like to host too, but the big match to me was kind of Wisconsin and Minnesota. They played on Wednesday night. Wisconsin rallied, and after Nebraska beat them on Halloween, they stepped up and beat Minnesota in 4 sets, 3-1. Mimi Collier does what she does. She had 21 kills, hit 326. Julia Hansen again hit 21 kills. But I think Wisconsin looked really good. They took over, hit 407 in that 4th set to really kind of say, we're done here.
Yeah. Well, and Wisconsin has lost some matches this year, and Nebraska controlled them pretty easily. This is still a really good team. Yeah. And, I don't know if we're talking about this later. Yeah, actually we are.
Let's talk about it now. I mean, let's talk about it
right now. Charlie Fearbringer came back for Wisconsin. Their starting setter, who'd been out, a little over a month or just about a month. She was still out when Nebraska played them last week, but she came back on Sunday, and Wisconsin looked pretty darn good. They swept Indiana and hit 351 in that match. So, if you have a relatively healthy now Charlie Fearbringer and one of the best offensive players in the country in Mimi Collier, that can make up for some of the weaknesses that I think Wisconsin has on their right side and in their middle. They're always going to have a chance, and you saw that this week.
Yeah, you mentioned Carter Booth had 11 kills at 733. I think to me that is exact direct connection to what Charlie Fearbringer. And to me, when I talked to some people I was up there too, I mean, she has been practicing with the team for a little bit now too. The main problem that her shoulder was weak and couldn't handle pressure, so blocking was kind of the last thing that she needed to get back in the habit of doing, because she can set fine and handle the pressure of the volleyball, but it's when that force comes against the block that her shoulder was not strong enough to handle. But she looked, Wisconsin, like you said, hit 351. Collier hit 406. This is what we saw from early season Wisconsin when they were humming along. They look a lot similar to that today.
Yeah. So a great week for Wisconsin. They beat Minnesota, their biggest rival, 3-1, and then they sweep Indiana and hit 351 to do that.
Another rated win,
yeah. Jaden Yeager had 14 kills for Indiana, but the Hoosiers, this is, every year we kind of keep waiting for the year Indiana's going to jump into that top tier of the Big Ten, and they had a good early start to the season, but they're kind of coming back to earth now.
They're still ranked. They're in 4th place, tied with 4th place in the Big Ten with USC. So they're 10-4. I think this is the best Indiana's done in a long time.
It's true. They're having a good season for Indiana. I guess maybe just right or wrong in my mind, they're not sort of the Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Purdue tier. And I think they did that. They swept Penn State last week.
They did go 5 this year. They went 5 sets with Iowa earlier in the week too.
Everyone goes 5 sets with Iowa. Yeah. This is so weird.
3-8 in 5-set matches this year.
They're I tweeted or texted you, Iowa's the Kansas of the Big Ten. Yeah. They just they go 5 with everyone, but they usually lose. On Friday, number 9 Purdue swept Penn State for the first time since 1987. So if any Nebraska fan was thinking that Penn State was going to do the Huskers a favor and put a little more distance between Purdue and Nebraska, no dice there. Kendall Woolard, a great match for Purdue, 19 kills and hit 417. Penn State's problem this year, Lincoln, one of the big ones, is they can't stop anyone. They're one of the worst teams in the Big Ten in opponent hitting percentage, and Purdue hit 312 in the match. So I don't know why their blocking is so poor this year, but they've got good back row players, but they're just not stopping anyone.
Their block, I think, their block is suspect. The middles aren't very quick laterally from what I've watched them. So when a team runs
their
fast,
setter's kind of undersized now.
Yeah. their setters underside. So I mean, Kenny Martin is 6'5", so she can put up a big block. But and Amy Selman, and they've been using a freshman Alexis Ewing as the second left pin recently, because like Juravish has been dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, she didn't play on Sunday.
I think from what I tried to investigate, that maybe some back injuries is what best I could find. So I don't know. Yeah, she hasn't been in action. So but they did rally against Penn State. Did have a big win on Sunday against Illinois. The big question with Penn State is, are they going to drop out of the rankings for the first time since 1988? They've been ranked the final poll in 1988. I think I looked it up. It was 561. This past week was the 561 first straight week of being ranked. They kind of held on to that hope with a 4-set win against Illinois.
That was a tight match too.
Oh yeah, it was
and a 3-point set.
Yeah, 23, 27, 23, 22. The points scored in each of the 4 sets too. So Illinois just, again, this is what they needed to kind of boost their tournament hopes too. Martin did what she did: 22 kills, 11 digs, hit 333. Maggie Mendelson, this is to me the key difference between a Penn State team and a decent Penn State team. When she can get more offense, more involved in that offense from the middle blocker, she really makes a big difference with what they can do. She had 16 kills, 0 errors, hit 516, and Emmy Selman had 14 kills, and Illinois had 3 players finish with 14. So that's up and down week for Penn State. We'll see on Monday, or by the time a lot of you listen to this on Tuesday morning, we'll know if Penn State's ranked again or not.
Yeah. And so just a real quick look at the top of the Big Ten race. Nebraska is in the lead at 14-0. Purdue still hanging around now, 12-2. A big match to keep an eye on is coming up, not this week, but the following week. Purdue is going to go to Madison to play Wisconsin on November 19th. And that could be, the match that maybe clinches the Big Ten title for Nebraska if Wisconsin is able to knock off Purdue. And then we'll see what Nebraska does this weekend going out to the Los Angeles schools. One big win of note, though, in the Big Ten, Ohio State break up the Buckeyes. They got their first Big Ten win of the season. They had to do it in 5 sets against Maryland on Saturday. Oh, actually, did you say 4? They got 2 5-setters. Okay,
2.
That's interesting to me. So 5-set. The Ohio State running marathons against Maryland and Rutgers this past weekend, which moves Ohio State out of the cellar of the Big Ten. Maryland is now all alone in the final place in the Big Ten standings.
Yeah, it's been.
And Maryland was the team that pushed Nebraska to like 27-25.
Yeah, they got some nasty servers on their team. And that was I think that was in Maryland too. So it's, who knows what's going on with the Terps. It's a rough match for them. So, but Ohio State on the board. Every team in the Big Ten has now won a match. So there we go. All right, let's move on to rotation number 4 for our national recap. Not a lot of in the AC. We'll start with the ACC. Just do this alphabetically, I guess. But not a lot of rank.
Before we get into results, I want to take your temperature on a question I've kind of been seeing online, and just like in the volleyball chatter community. That does this feel like a boring season to you? Does it feel? And by boring, I just mean there hasn't been a ton of upsets in the prominent conferences. Nebraska's kind of running away with the Big Ten. Your ACC is going to be some combination of Stanford or Pitt, probably. The Big 12 is the only one where we're not really sure what's going to happen.
No.
The SEC is going to be Kentucky or Texas.
Or A&M.
Or A&M, you're right, at this point. But, I think it's going to be Kentucky. And so there's just not a lot of, I don't know if you want to call it drama or surprises. And this week didn't do anything to sort of dispel that notion in my mind.
Yeah, to me, I think even I voted the 900 square feet poll, and even from the first time we did at the end of the non-conferences, our first poll, there to me was definite tiers. To me, I think Nebraska, Texas, Kentucky, Penn, they're kind of a top 4. And what Pitt? Yeah, not Penn.
Mm-hmm.
Pitt is the top 4, and then there's kind of the next group I think is really interchangeable, starting from Stanford all the way down to Wisconsin. Now I think Charlie's back Wisconsin in that group too. There's about 8 teams beyond that, and then to me, we've seen a couple upsets and they kind of beat up on each other, and then the teams below that, no one wants to be 14, 15, 16, and they all keep losing to that. So I mean, there hasn't been a lot. I mean, there's been a couple matches where Miami for Maria will go off and upset someone too, or I don't know if it's been very predictable, I think too, and so that to me has been kind of the narrative of the season.
It's like one of those seasons that sort of results in a very interesting first weekend of the NCAA tournament, but then you look at who the Elite Eight is, and you're like, oh yeah, of course,
yeah. I think that's what we're headed for too. I mean, I think Creighton's been impressive. A&M, SMU, TCU's kind of fallen off a little bit. Arizona State, who they've somehow emerged. They've suffered a little bit of the Big 12 chaos, but they've kind of emerged a little bit at this point.
Just once.
Too, so.
They've only lost once, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think everything's been a little bit predictable. And kind of when we do some of the national recap there, we don't mention a lot of teams too, because Stanford won both their matches. Pitt took
nothing
care
really
of
surprising happened. Yeah.
Pitt took care of their business. So I think we typically talk about it if something interesting, if it's a ranked versus ranked, but they're beating up on teams that they should take care of business from, and we'll check back in with them at a later date. But
well, you want to start things off with the ACC? Sorry to derail you.
No, that's fine. ACC really kind of the highlight of the week too. There's, a couple ranked versus ranked matchups. Stanford swept North Carolina. North Carolina showed a little bit of spark last week. They went 5 with Pitt, and then they knocked off SMU. So maybe North Carolina, maybe they want to be in that 14, 15, 16. They were ranked 15 this week, and then got manhandled by Stanford. The Cardinal hit 333. Jordan Harvey had 14 kills at 516. Eli Rubin had 12 kills, 5 blocks. Stanford is really kind of, they've flown under the radar a little bit too, but they've won 10 in a row. But I think the test really comes this week because they play Pitt and SMU to kind of as we get towards the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be interesting, something to keep an eye on for the Cardinal this week.
Absolutely. And then we mentioned Miami briefly just a minute ago. Miami and Florida State, in-state rivals, played twice this week. Both matches went to 5 sets, both won by the Hurricanes, thanks to Flomari Heredia Colon, who does nothing except, she gets every swing, and she doesn't get dug a lot. It's either a kill or it goes out. She had another big week for Miami.
32 kills in one of the matches, and I'm trying to think how. I think she had. I forget what the other one, but she's going to put up a ridiculous number almost every single time out.
Yeah.
She had 42 kills against the 42 and 32 kills too. This is what she does. She is the offense for Miami. They don't got much else, and she will put up more than half their kills almost every time out, it seems like.
But that ACC title race is going to go down to the wire. A big week when Stanford plays Pitt and SMU this week. Moving to the Big 12. This is our favorite. This is our messy conference, right? Our messy friend conference. And that just means it's fun and interesting. So on Friday, Arizona State, number 8 in the country, who's leading the Big 12, had a big win that went a long way toward clinching the Big 12 or toward their Big 12 title hopes. They beat number 21 BYU in 4 in Tempe. Bailey Miller, big player in this match for the Sun Devils, 20 kills and hit 390. Noemi Glover, the Oregon transfer, had 11 kills and 6 blocks. And the rising star for BYU, Sully Davis, their freshman outside hitter, who might be, your national freshman of the year if you don't end up giving it to one of the Texas pin hitters.
Yeah.
Had 20 kills, but was pretty high error and had 14 errors. So if you look at that Big 12 title race right now, Arizona State has a 2-game lead over Colorado and Kansas. And in part, that's because Colorado had a pretty rough week.
Yeah, they went 0 for 2. Those two teams actually played, Colorado and Kansas. Colorado finally having one of the better years of their program, but they took a trip to the Sunflower State and went 0 for. On Thursday, Kansas beat Colorado. Kansas actually ranked higher, so that wasn't that big of upset. But they finished. It was a 3-1. Grace Nelson had 16 kills for Kansas. Reese Patak had 13 kills. Colorado only hit 123. And then things got worse on Saturday because unranked Kansas State end up sweeping number 20 Colorado. Junior Anaya Clinton, she had 17 kills, hit 536 for the Wildcats. And really kind of, it wasn't that competitive match too. And now Kansas State's trying to make some noise. They get a chance to have their influence on the Big 12 race because they host Baylor and Kansas this week.
Colorado could not get off I-70 fast enough. I think that's how, Boulder, you have to go south a little bit, but both Manhattan and Lawrence on I-70, and, it runs all the way to Denver too. So they probably flew. My knowledge of Kansas road maps is useless on this podcast, except for this one brief segment. Arizona making Nebraska look better. They got some wins this week over BYU and Texas Tech. That means BYU went 0 for 2 this week, losing to both Arizona schools. That's rough. BYU is a little bit up and down this season. I think they're probably still going to make the tournament. And Sully Davis is a great player who you hope to see in the postseason, but not as sharp as they were, I would say, maybe 6 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, they're 18-7 overall, but they're 6-7. They in the Big 12 too, and they've lost 2 of those matches. So they got Utah, Arizona, Kansas, and Utah again, and Colorado to close out the regular season too. So Utah is really falling off the map too, but Arizona's been a bit frisky, and then Kansas and Colorado to finish up the schedule. So the other upset that happened.
No one in the Big 12 can stand prosperity, right? No. Like Colorado gets in the rankings, they start to lose. And then the next team, I think, Lincoln, you were going to talk about, unless you want me to take this one.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Our friends over in Ames, Iowa State, after their big win last week, moving into, because they beat Arizona State, right, in 5. They handed the Sun Devils their first Big 12 loss. So they get in the rankings, and they promptly get swept by Central Florida on Saturday.
Yeah, so that to me, we talked a little bit about, will Penn State be ranked again too? But these teams are making it hard. Like Iowa State just got in the rankings; they're 24th. Will they be in the rankings next week? BYU is struggling to stay in the rankings too. Like it's hard to come up with 25 teams that are worth being ranked. So it's a struggle, but Iowa State did not handle their prosperity very well too. So.
Well, let's move on to the SEC then, where we know there are some teams that are very worthy of being ranked and do know what to do with prosperity. Great weekend for Craig Skinner and the number 2 Kentucky Wildcats. They had matches on Thursday and Sunday. Number 2 Kentucky on Thursday knocks off Missouri in 4. So Kentucky's winning matches. They're dropping sets. They're not making it look like, a Swiss watch volleyball, but they've got 2 of the best outsides in the country. And so usually you play enough rallies, those 2 are going to come through for you. They did on Thursday. Kentucky hit 331 to beat Missouri. Eva Hudson, 21 kills, hit 487. Brooklyn DeLay, 20 kills, hit 306. Those 2 are going to go off for you almost every time. Missouri hung in it thanks to Hawaii transfer Kaylin Alexander's 22 kills, but just couldn't get it done. And then Kentucky stayed on top of the SEC on Saturday against a really good Tennessee team. Because remember, Tennessee gave Texas all they wanted last week. They gave Kentucky a real run for their money in Lexington on Sunday. Kentucky dropped game 1 to Tennessee 25-22, but then came back to win the next 3, 25-23, 18, and 18 in front of a really good crowd at Memorial Coliseum. And we're seeing this all across the country. Arizona State for their match on Friday, I think, drew like 4,500 fans, 6,200 in Kentucky in that building to watch Kentucky beat Tennessee.
Well, did you see the video? Craig Skinner on his weekly press conference got up on top of the table and is shouting from the mountaintops. And I think he was up in the rafters at one point this week too. He is trying to
come down with tablets. Like what was he up there for?
I think just trying to tell fans, like, come watch this Kentucky volleyball team. We're really good. So this is what
they are, and you should. But that's big feelings from Craig Skinner.
Stay safe there, Craig. We like Craig Skinner. I like these stunts too. But another good day from Eva Hudson. She had a minor ankle injury. They kept highlighting. I was watching.
She went down early in that match.
Yeah, when she landed on a attack. I think she twisted her ankle, slightly stepped on a Tennessee player's foot at the net too, and kind of tweaked her ankle. I didn't think I was trying to do multiple things at one time, so I don't think she missed any time too. She finished with 19 kills at 381. So if you're just looking at the box score, it doesn't look like anything happened out of the ordinary. So hopefully it's
Yeah.
just got retaped and is good to
No,
go.
I think she came like if she missed anything, she missed like a rally,
Yeah.
which she had a pretty forceful kill right after that, and so she seems fine.
Good. Yeah, Brooklyn DeLay did what she does, had 18 kills, and Kentucky used their block to win 14-7. Nebraska, former Nebraska, and Hayden Kubik, she had led in Tennessee with 16 kills, and Star Williams had 15. So that was good week for her. And speaking of old Nebraska friends, Whitney Lonstein got in to see some action at Texas. She's been used very sparingly for the Longhorns the last couple of years. Texas ended up beating Florida 3-1 on Friday. But Whitney got in, big hit Whit. She played the last couple sets and got 6 kills on 11 attacks. I mean, she's only played in 5 sets over 4 matches over the past 2 years. And I think she had 5 career kills for the Longhorns down there. So it's kind of good. You remember that, you remember what she flashed those first couple of years at Nebraska. And it's good to see that she still can get up and get some kills for the Longhorns.
I hope I am not screwing this up. And if so, I hope one of our I-80 Club subscribers who follow college volleyball just like we do, the national landscape, can correct me. Texas might be messing around with a 6-2 a little bit because they played multiple setters in that match. And I think that's one reason Lowenstein got in, is because she's the second opposite in the 6-2. But it was not just Ella Swindle who was setting on Friday against Florida. They, I think, might be, I mean, there's nothing that Jared Elliott kind of likes more than experimenting with his setters well into the season. And I think Texas might be playing around with a 6-2 a little bit. Yeah,
looking at their box score, Ella Swindle had 31 assists too. Then Rella Binney, she had 18. So that's more than just occasionally coming in. If you're getting 18, you're running a 6-2 at that point too. So I was traveling on the road, so I was not able to watch that match on Friday night.
So this is really interesting though, Lincoln. Thanks for dropping this in our notes, that this is the last week of the regular season for the SEC because they play the conference tournament. They're bringing that back in, where is it, Savannah, Georgia, or they're playing at some weird place.
Savannah, Georgia.
All right. So hopefully there's no, leftover hurricanes on the coast by the time they play that. Kentucky, this is a really tight race. Kentucky leads the SEC at 13-0. Texas A&M's just 1 game back at 12-1, and then Texas is 2 games back at 11-2. So your SEC regular season title is going to come down to one of those teams. But then we get to watch them play each other all over again in this SEC tournament.
Yeah, and looking at the schedules, I mean, all those teams should take care of business. I mean, Kentucky's got Oklahoma and Arkansas. Oklahoma can be frisky with Alexis Shelton a little bit, but they should win. Texas A&M probably has the hardest match of any of those 3 teams left. They play Florida on Wednesday and then Georgia on Sunday, and Texas closes out with Auburn and South Carolina. So on paper, those 3 teams should go 6-0, and then we get to the SEC tournament, which starts on, it's Friday, November 21st. The top 4 teams all get buys. Those 3 teams will definitely get buys: Texas, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. But it's that who's going to get that 4th one, because Tennessee and Florida are both tied at 8-4. So and this is kind of like set up like a lot of basketball conference tournaments go to, where the top 4 get double buys and they go directly to quarterfinals. So if you lose your 5th seed, you play on Saturday, and you could play 4 matches, and you have to win 4 matches if you want to win the tournament in 4 days.
That's right. So let's move on to our Supernova Shining Star of the Week, and I am going to give mine to a player that we have not talked about really yet this episode. We talked a lot about Andi Jackson, and she would have been easy to give this award to, but I think anytime you hit, whatever it was Nebraska hit combined for the week, like 450, and you jump your hitting percentage by 10 points. 3 straight matches, by the way, that Nebraska has now hit over 400. You gotta give great credit to the setter in this offense. And Bergen Riley, I think what Jack Mitchell might have given his Super Shining Star of the Week to Riley last week. I'm wiping that from Volleyball State canon. I was not here. And so I don't feel bad about doubling up on this, especially because Nebraska hit 458 combined in their wins over Illinois and Minnesota, 15 straight matches where Nebraska has hit at least 300. Bergen Riley, take a bow. We know the passing was really good against Illinois. It was a tough serving match from Minnesota, and she still ran down every first contact and put up some great sets. So Bergen Riley, congratulations. You are my Omaha Supernova's Shining Star of the Week.
Yes, and I will give my Supernova Shining Star of the Week to Eva Hudson, who we mentioned her stats. She had 21 kills against Missouri, 19 kills against Tennessee, hit 47 through 81 of those two matches, and also overcame a slight ankle injury too. So she stepped up. It's been kind of the driving force. Also,
this award and a bag of ice will make that ankle feel much better. Remember, it's RICE: rest, ice, compression, elevation.
Thank you. I just dispensing medical advice as well too. That's what we do here at Volleyball State. So it's great stuff. So Bergen Riley, Eva Hudson, they are our choices for the Supernova's Shining Star of the Week. So we're now with legendary coach John Cook, now serving as general manager, and they have also added former Husker star Merritt Beeson as well as Brooke Nunaviller on the roster. This is a season you don't want to miss too. We mentioned they dropped the schedule last week, so hopefully everyone's got their dates plugged in. They have a lovely thing on their schedule where it plugs right into your calendar. So I already have it on my calendar, all those matches. So you can be part of the best atmosphere in all of professional volleyball with 14 thrilling home matches at the CHI Health Center to cheer on the Supernovas as they chase another championship too. So don't wait. Grab your season tickets now at supernovas.com.
Let's move into rotation 5, and we thank the ABCA for giving us some material this week to chat about, where for the first time ever, right, Lincoln, they didn't just name 3 National Player of the Year finalists.
I think last year was the first year they did this. This is the second year. Second year they've done this. So
yeah, so they released over the course of 2 days last week. They released 14 National Player of the Year semifinalists, 7 on Thursday, 7 on Friday. And you can really tell what positions, I guess, are being valued in this award because it's all pin hitters. Like there's one middle blocker, Andi Jackson.
8 outside hitters, and then it's 4 opposites, right side hitters, 1 middle blocker, 1 setter, 0 liberos.
Right. And Bergen Riley is the setter that was included. Do you want to run through them real quick? It's a lot of players that you would expect, but I know we're going to try to get through it really quick.
If you listen to us talk about volleyball on a weekly basis, we've name dropped a lot of these players as well too. Olivia Babcock, the reigning National Player of the Year from Pittsburgh. Mimi Collier from Wisconsin, outside hitter. Brooklyn DeLay from Kentucky. She's joined by her teammate Eva Hudson. Naomi Glover from Arizona State. She's been kind of one of the maybe surprises of the year too, but she's come on. Full Maria Heredia Colon from Miami, who puts up 30 kills almost every single game. Logan Lednicki from Texas A&M as an opposite. A little bit quiet year from her, but I think she's an electric player. Kenny Martin from
more around her, I think, this year now too. She's got help.
Yeah, there's more around her for sure. Yeah, Kenny Martin is carrying that Penn State squad. Elia Rubin from Stanford, Tori Stafford from Texas, and maybe the revelation of the year, Kenna Wallard from Purdue. Really surprised.
Definitely one of the best stories in the country.
Yeah, she was playing opposite last year, and then when they lost both their the left side pin hitters to the portal, she shifted over more natural position, and she has been lighting it up. But so that's the list. I mean, also the 3 Nebraska players, Harper Murray, Andi Jackson, Bergen Riley. That's the most. Kentucky's the only other team with multiple players with their 2. So this is. Well, the 2 complaints I mainly saw last week was 1, why did they stretch us out over 2 days? And 2, why was player X left off? So here, let's correct some wrongs. I kind of
Well, if you were so yeah, I mean, volleyball is a sport where everyone kind of has to work together, and just like you see in football, right? A lot of positions for awards get overvalued. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. You're never going to see a defensive player win the Heisman, even though that's half the game. It's ridiculous. But I thought volleyball was a little bit better than that, and maybe part of that's because on the All-American teams, like players from every position are recognized. There's some great middle blockers that got left off of this list, like Ifena Kosokpala from Texas A&M, who's right there with Andi Jackson in being the best middle blocker in the country. Kara Cressy, from Louisville is also a great middle blocker. And there's plenty of others that could have been up there.
Yeah, to me, and Texas A&M actually tweeted out right after the second list came out, tweeted out a list of this is here's Ifena's stat line. Why is she not? To me, I think she probably is the most egregious grab. I actually would put her over her teammate Logan Lednicki. Like, Nikki is great and she can take over a match too, but I think her stats have not been as overwhelming as they were last year. I would have put Afena Caso-Apkala on there over her as well too. So I mean, there's a lot of other great middle blockers too. Carter Booth, I think. But I mean, if we're talking about player of the year, not All-American, I think Afena is kind of my choice. And then the other position I think is harder, I think, for me, is setter as well too. I mean, Avery Carlson is one of the top leader in assists per set, and SMU's hitting high 200s, just right around 300 for the season too. Cassie O'Brien's been very impressive as a freshman, I think, as a setter as well too. And there's multiple other ones out there.
Caroline Kerr at Tennessee is an excellent setter. You could have looked at Alexa Stuckey at Florida. I think both of those two last names I mentioned suffer because their teams are not like top 10 teams. And it seems like top 10 teams always get the benefit of the doubt in some of these players of the year. And then we're like the justice for libero guys, right? Not a single libero on the National Player of the Year semifinals in a year where actually there's some really good liberos.
Yeah. I think the hard part for me is if this were an All-American list, I would be more outraged, but I think it's harder for a libero to make a case for player of the year. I mean, Lexi Rodriguez was a finalist last year too, and I think she changed the game from that position. I don't know if we have that level of back row play this year, but I will say there are very fine liberos out there too. I think what Lola Schumacher has been doing at UCLA, Rachel Van Gorp at Iowa State is super fun to watch too. Maya Sands from Missouri, Emma Halter at Texas. Those are kind of some of the names that it would have been nice. They better be included on the All-American list too. I'm okay not having them on the player of the year. I think there's no Alexi Rodriguez or Elena Scott to me at that level this year. Which those two should have been included on a player semifinalist if this were a year ago. But
and a couple of these that you mentioned were transfers. I know at the very least Schumacher, started at Wisconsin and is at UCLA. Halter, well, I guess Halter's always been at Texas. No. I apologize.
Yeah, Ramsey Gary, the DS there. She's the
So, Rachel Van Gorp, was she a transfer also? You highlighted her.
I don't believe so. I think she's an Iowa State lifer, so I'm looking her up real quick. But I'm pretty sure, she's she's just a sophomore and definitely played last year as a freshman at Iowa State. So I think it's fine. It's discussion. We're talking about this. So this what will happen from now is the list of these 14 people. And I think there's always a caveat that they can change, but I would be very surprised if there'll be 3 finalists that are named right after the regional rounds, that Monday of regional rounds, and then they'll hand out the player of the year. Is it the Friday banquet that they have at the Final Four, the day after the Final Four, the player of the year will be announced then.
Well, the day after the national semifinals.
National semi, national semi is when that will be. So the round of 4.
All right. Well, so there's our outrage segment. We're about to move into rotation 6 to preview Nebraska's upcoming week against UCLA and USC. But before we do, this segment's brought to you by Jiv Athletics. For you players or parents of players looking for the perfect layer under your spandex, well, Jiv Athletics makes high-performance underwear engineered specifically for volleyball players. This year, InStyle magazine named Jiv one of the best workout underwear brands in its category. They're endorsed and worn by U.S. gold and silver medalist Micah Hancock, so you know they're built for athletes at the highest level. And they're made without PFAS or harmful forever chemicals. Jiv's fabrics are breathable, moisture-wicking, and designed to give women true comfort and confidence under their spandex. So you can try them today and feel the difference. We're going to save you some money if you do. Use code VSP15 for 15% off. That's VSP, like Volleyball State Pod, 15 at jivathletics.com. We have established, Lincoln, that neither of us are going out to Los Angeles to see UCLA and USC. Plenty of other people are, though, because these are going to be 2 huge, probably partisan Nebraska crowds out there.
Yeah. Jeff, you're a former California resident. What was your favorite California-themed song? Like, if we dropped a musical interlude in right now, what would your be?
Clearly, it would be California Love by Tupac.
There we go.
Although I am also partial to I Love LA by Randy Newman because they play it after each of the Dodgers home wins. And I don't know, California by Phantom Planet, probably, because we grew up watching the OC, right?
Yeah. I think I would definitely go with
the Friday night at UCLA. Nebraska is playing the Bruins, 14-10, 8-6 in the Big Ten. That's a late start, man. That's 9 o'clock Friday on the Big Ten Network, and like I can't believe I stayed up. Yeah, Pac-12 after dark. I can't believe I stayed up to watch the end of Nebraska UCLA football on Saturday, because that ended well after 11 p.m. UCLA, kind of the epitome of an up and down team this year. They've got some really good players. They've alternated wins and losses in their last 9 matches. So they also, before I went to bed on Saturday, I made sure I got the final of the end of UCLA Northwestern. UCLA at home had to go 5 sets to beat Northwestern. And so they've got some talent, but they haven't put it all together. This is probably a UCLA team that UCLA fans would feel like has underachieved a little bit. They do have some really good wins, right? They beat Penn State. They beat Minnesota. They have beat USC. And then not a win, but a moral victory maybe, they lost in 5 at Purdue. So they've got some really good possibility here. They've also lost twice to Oregon. Yeah. They've lost to Wisconsin. They split with USC, so I think they got swept by USC. Just you don't know which Bruins team is going to show up each time they take the court.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, they've had to deal with some injury questions too, and just they've shifted around a lot. I mean, to me, this was one I thought they had the potential to be a top 4 or 5 Big Ten team before the year, but it never really clicked with their transfers. They've shifted their lineup a little bit too. I mean, but the one consistent has been Sheridan Leverett. She was all Big Ten player last year. She's leading the Bruins again this year. She's 3.8 kills per set too. At the other outside position, they've kind of they've gone back and forth. Maggie Lee was a big transfer from Cal. She was all ACC last year. I think she might have led the ACC in kills, but transferred to UCLA. And then they have a freshman, Elania Ruzia, that they've kind of been going back for. Maggie Lee went back into the starting lineup.
Lee has been starting for their last probably like 2 weeks. I know she led them in kills against Northwestern on Saturday, and I think has been their starter for the last couple of weeks, and she's really good. So yeah, they've got pin talent, right? Leverett and Lee are both really good. But then you look at their offense, UCLA's 16th in the Big Ten. That's 3rd from last in hitting percentage. They only hit 220 on the year, so they struggle putting balls away efficiently. They are pretty good defensively. They're 4th in the Big Ten in opponent hitting percentage, and they do lead the Big Ten in digs because they have one of, if not the best liberos in the conference in Lola Schumacher, who transferred in from Wisconsin.
Yeah, she's leading the Big Ten in digs too, and also she's passing. She has like a 60% good. Nope. 52, but she's passing like a 215. Her numbers have gone down to, but I looked this up a couple weeks ago, and she's passing very well. But then the other big news for them is they got PK Kong, who's a transfer from Louisville at middle blocker. She returned to action. I think she's
been hurt a little bit.
Yeah, she missed some time earlier in the year too. So this is like I think her 2nd stint missing time with an injury too. But she makes a difference and kind of rejuvenates that lineup too. So UCLA on Friday night, late night for the Huskers too. We will talk about their other opponent this weekend right after this.
Hi, I'm Mikey Hancock, 2-time Olympian from Edmond, Oklahoma. Confidence means everything. For me, it comes from within. As an elite athlete, you look for external validation way too much. I've worked really hard to attain that and not seek external validation. JIV makes me feel confident because I don't have to worry about the functionality of my undergarment. At the Paris Olympics, I was so happy that JIV was the layer beneath it all, whether I was gallivanting the city or playing in the Olympic Games. Instead of adjusting what I'm wearing, the functionality of it helps me lock in and be in the moment. That's why I choose JIV, not just for game day, but for every day.
Yep. So Huskers will play on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Time. The Trojans from USC. USC is 18-5, 9-4 in the Big Ten. We mentioned they are tied in 4th place in the Big Ten. This is going to be a Big Ten plus match. So hopefully you bought that. Just it's worth it. I mean, whatever the instructions, sync up the radio. John Baylor is amazing. It's a good time if you want to watch Husker volleyball.
I'll say this about Big Ten Plus. At least they know when to get off of a replay, so you don't miss the start of the next point. Unlike our friends at Peacock, who we got to hang out with on Saturday.
I met Heather Cox, though. She's great. She's wonderful to talk to. But
Oh yeah, the announcers were fine. It was the director that I wanted to have.
We'll send an email at director@peacock.com. But USC, they are on fire. They've won 8 straight. They beat Washington on Sunday. They're very balanced. I think we talked about USC or UCLA's kind of influx pin hitters. They know USC knows their identity too. Sophomore outside hitter Lonnie Weijia, she was just Big Ten Player of the Week last week, as averaging 3.5 kills per set. She's only 5'10", but she is an athlete. She did have some health issues last year, but has really kind of rebounded from that. And Jeff, I think she was like your most underrated player that you had a big hopes and aspirations.
We talked about Lonnie Weijia 2 years ago when she was a freshman because she was really young. She reclassified out of high school. So she came to USC when she was 17 and was really good as a freshman and had some health problems last year. I think actually took a medical redshirt because she is a redshirt sophomore this year, but she's really good. USC has also, found the value of players from the Midwest. They have gone into Kansas City, especially, and recruited really well. Their opposite hitter, Abigail Mullen, and their freshman setter, Reese Messer, are both in the Kansas City area. Messer is one of the best freshman setters in the country, along with Cassie O'Brien at Kentucky. She's second in the Big Ten in assists per set. This is a tough matchup for Nebraska. People, I think, sometimes roll their eyes at that and say, like, oh, Nebraska just rolls everyone. Like, of the 2 matches next weekend, USC is the more challenging one. They've won 8 in a row. They've got pin hitters who can put the ball away. And then we haven't mentioned yet a Papillion La Vista product. Mia Taverdi is a middle blocker who averages over a block a set. So USC is a really good defensive team too. They are 3rd in the Big Ten in opponent attack percentage, just behind Nebraska and Wisconsin. Only 2 of their opponents this year have hit over 300 on the Trojans. That was BYU and UCLA. So this is a tough matchup for Nebraska.
It reminds me of the last California team who dipped into Kansas City and had success. That's what Stanford built their dynasty with a couple.
Well, that and Catherine Plummer, who was from. Where was Plummer from? Was she from California?
That was your era. That's your era. You're supposed to be in charge of that.
Sorry, Catherine Plummer, and I forget which she's married now too, and that's a different last name. But they and also one of their middles was from Oklahoma, Oklahoma. So Stanford knew how to recruit the Midwest too.
Yeah, she was born in Long Beach. She's a California girl too, but it was Gray, and then Fitzsimmons was from
Adriana Fitzmaurice was from Kansas City, and then who was the middle? Inky Ajanaku?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it was from one of their middles was from Oklahoma too.
Well, we're struggling with names too. You mentioned top freshman setters. Make sure that our girl Todora Kirkovich from Indiana, also top freshman setter as well too. There's a lot of great freshman players as well too. But yeah, they will be on Sunday night. I think it's going to be a fun weekend for Nebraska fans too. I expect 2 attendance records to fall. It's going to be a very Husker heavy crowd as well. USC is officially a sellout. UCLA is not a sellout now because they keep opening up extra sections in the top deck.
They're going to put as many people in Pauley Pavilion as like Ed O'Bannon.
There's a name throwback. Great 1994 reference. That's good stuff.
There we go. You're asking me here about volleyball late. Man, I don't know. That's going to be late. Like that Nebraska UCLA match is probably going to get over at 10:30 at the earliest on Friday night. And I don't know. Let's talk about it.
Check our social media feeds too. See if we can get a nap in on Friday. Take a nap. Make sure there's going to be a late night. Start 9 o'clock here in Central Time Zone. But we will be back for sure next Sunday. One thing we're talking about previews. I want to Matt ask a good question that I want to make sure we address before we depart here too. You mentioned how Nebraska has been. I mean, even Nebraska struggles defensively. They're still putting teams away too. Would Nebraska need to have both their worst defensive effort and their worst offensive effort to lose a match too? Is it going to take the combination of that, or what will it take for drop?
I mean, they would definitely need to be poor offensively, and then they would need to run into a team, that kind of stressed them in ways that Minnesota could, but at a little bit higher level. And to me, the only teams you're really talking about doing that are Texas, Kentucky. I don't even think, Pittsburgh could really do it because Pittsburgh, unless those other outsides were able to put together some really good matches. You have to be balanced to beat Nebraska. You have to have multiple pin hitters going off. And then, you have to hope that Nebraska's offense is not really on. And you do that by tough serving. Although Nebraska has shown us lately that as long as they can keep the ball off the floor, they can get quality swings.
Yeah, that to me is the key indicator, is that tough serving. That's where it all starts and breaks down the defense and leads to a rough offense in that too. But no one's been able to do it so far.
Kentucky can do that. Kentucky can serve you tough, but they also serve the ball out a lot.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out in December, probably, but we'll see if Nebraska can take care of business out in LA. But that is what we got for this week's show. So thanks to our sponsors, Alumni Hall, the Supernovas, Jiv Athletics. We appreciate your support. Support those who support us. You can also support us by subscribing to patreon.com, patreon.com. Join us for our live shows. That's how you get to listen to the entire Volleyball Late episode, and join us on Sunday nights for our chats, get questions. We have a newsletter we put out every Friday looking at the world of college volleyball too. So $5 a month. Join us at patreon.com/I80 Club.
Absolutely. Find all of our stuff at volleyballstate.com. You can find our social medias there. You can find our merch store there. Get your Justice for Libero shirts and show the man at the AVCA that liberos need to be respected and celebrated. Follow us on social media. And if you're a subscriber, thank you so much tonight for tuning in and sending us your questions and comments, and for supporting this volleyball community. Hope you all have a wonderful week. And thank you for living in the volleyball state.